All right, y'all. Bearder Bros Golf Show. Back at it again. I'm Rod,
Now, Marcus,
and he's a liar. He said he'd be ready on time. I was here. So just gonna point that out right off the top of the show. How are y'all doing this week? Hope everyone's had an incredible week. We are at it on Monday. Um, versus alternative. We keep bouncing back and forth between Sunday and Monday. It is what it is, just depending on how life flows and how the week kind of comes together. So here we are. Quite actually an exciting weekend of golf. A lot of golf was being played and kind of just setting the tone for kind of what hopefully will be another good 2025. Um, we have the stories lined up. What's one of the things that caught your eye? What was the biggest golf story of your weekend this week, Marcus?
uh, I'm always excited for late night Asian golf, and we got another week of it for the LPGA.
2 weeks.
Then we got the Zozo as well, coming in, so we'll have both of those. So yeah, seeing that was good. The Shriners Open is, I don't know, it's usually a snooze fest, but that's probably because Tom Kim takes 15 minutes to play each shot, so I wasn't looking forward to seeing that. But luckily, somebody else was on the winning side of things, so we got to see some pretty expedient golf for the most part. I don't know. I was more reflective
Yeah,
of what we went through on Monday more than anything. But the golf was good. The golf was
yeah.
was pretty cool.
We'll hit our weekend here at the end there, and just kind of also kind of go through one of the slower upload schedule. Just again, you can only put your energy in so many places. So we'll be back at it in terms of my end of getting clips edited up and reposted and more regular like we have been in the past. But we'll explain the kind of the absence here at the end there. So let's just hit the weekend stuff. So the ladies are actually going to be overseas 2 more weeks. So they are in, let's see here, Malaysia this week, and then they're in Japan next week for the Toto. So they have spent a full month over on the Asian swing by the conclusion of October, which, as you pointed out, lends to some late night golf. Comes on around 9:10 our time, goes through to kind of mid morning. So you can kind of wake up, get some golf in the middle of the morning, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Um,
Absolutely.
so Hannah Green, we've talked about her a couple of times this year. She secured her third win on the LPGA this season. Uh, I surmised earlier in the year that she was kind of approaching that kind of star stratosphere, and I think she really is getting up there, finding a way to win, which she spoke to after the tournament when she doesn't always have her best golf. So she was only one under on Sunday's round, but had built up enough of a cushion to withhold the stampede from the rest of the field, and think what's her name, Chanity. I forget her last name, but Chanity kind of had a charge on Sunday. But again, Hannah Green, third win of the year, able to withhold the challengers. What do you think about her stepping into star status? I think really the only thing missing for her is a major at this stage.
Um, her being Australian and everything, I don't really think I could see her as a star yet, just because she doesn't in the Solheim Cup or in the World Cup and stuff like that. She's close. Winning three times in a season is already gonna have you in an upper tier of golf and things like that. But I don't know personally if I would call her a star just outright yet. But again, her being likable is, in the forefront and completely one of the best things about her. She's one of the player favorites as well as the crowd favorite. So that, kind of puts her on that star status. But I want to see her be more consistent, because when she's good, she's good. But when she's bad, she's bad. And, we'll see her miss a cut more so than anything. It's not like a Lydia Ko where we see her top tens every time she competes, or a top five every time she competes and stuff like that. So I would like to see a little bit more consistency out of Hannah Green. And like we said the last time she was up in the mix, her putter fails her more than anything. So if
Uh-huh.
she can get that together, I think she'll be good to go. But very likable gal, and loves what she's doing. I mean, just easy power and plays Strixon. So play. She's not a brand Nazi. She found what works best for her, and she stuck with it. So good on her.
Yeah, definitely likable. Always has a nice contingent come out and celebrate her wins when she does win. Which you don't always see, right? Even
Right.
on the men's tour, but clearly has won over her peers and they support her. So shout out to Hannah Green. Hopefully we see more from her in the future. Like you said, think she's won regular season events and now it's really just going and getting a big one. I think she
Yeah.
is, you kind of mentioned it, not able to play in the Solheim Cup, and I think that kind of puts her at a disadvantage because we're
Definitely.
not able to kind of see her in the team golf environment, even though I think she would fit in very well. But that's the one thing that is missing from the ladies' side of things. They don't have a President's Cup equivalent, which we talked about a few weeks ago. Coming off
Yeah.
of the President's Cup, do you make it a mixed event? But it would be nice to see her showcased on the international team stage just to see what that brings out of her. I think we've seen a lot of people elevate themselves in the world game just on that stage. So
Yeah.
maybe that comes in the future. Maybe she just goes on a run of major wins, which could supplement it. If she wins a couple next year, as we saw Celine Boutier do a couple of years ago, it changes perceptions pretty quickly. So we'll see. Let's shift back over. But well, before we come back overseas, let's talk about the DP World Tour. I think the biggest. I don't know how much of that playoff you watched on Sunday. Pretty mediocre golf, to be honest. I think
Yeah.
the guy who ended up winning it, Gary A. First introduction from me to him.
Yeah.
Went into a playoff with Campillo. They ended up going 9 holes deep in the playoff. No one could get a birdie. Initially on 18, no one could hit a fairway, and they
Right.
generally stumbled into the playoff. I think they were both over par in the final 6 holes to just kind of squeak out the playoff. But again,
Yeah.
no one could hit that freaking fairway on 18. And I'm like, can we just aim a little bit left? Y'all are not hitting the draw the way y'all are planning on doing it. Can we please? So bunch of missed putts close. On the when they switched back to the par 3 17th, they were aiming middle of the green. No one wanted to challenge the flag and kind of go get the win. So it was a grind. I even had to step away at a certain point, get on with part of my day. Came back, they were still playing. So
Yeah.
9 holes deep. How much did you watch, if any, of that mediocre
Yeah.
playoff?
Before I had to run some errands and everything like that, I mean, I probably got up to about maybe the fourth or fifth hole, something like that. I left
Yeah,
after Jorge Campillo missed a 5 footer for birdie to pretty much seal the deal when Gary
right.
A was like right side rough and had to get up and down, chipped it up, and had the same was on the same line as Campillo's putt. So Campillo knew what he had to do, and then he missed it, went in and tapped
Just
his
didn't
par in, but
just didn't
nobody
give it enough
played
pace.
clutch golf. Yeah,
No.
it's like what you said. It was a bunch of golf at the end, and everybody was trying to not lose it instead of win it, and it's a one-on-one. So it's like, bro, like there's nothing wrong with you going for broke, bro. Like you already got second at least secured. This isn't
Yeah.
like a 15-man playoff. This is two people, and I mean, if I'm Campillo, all the cheers he was getting because Andalusia is like south of Spain, so it's like a real quick
Yeah.
trip for him. So he had a lot of fan support. Wife was there, kids were there. Bro, you got to go for broke. You got to go for it. I don't care. So for him to not really,
Right.
chance it like that, it kind of was annoying. And so I pretty much left after that. And I was like, I'm pretty sure Gary A is gonna win after that. And sure enough, he
Right.
did. But
Sure.
yeah, it was like 18, 18, 17, 18, 18, 18, 17, 18. It was just, oh my God, bro. This is
It
where
was a
people
grind.
talking about, yeah, it was a grind. This is where people talking about, I need an aggregate playoff. I get it now, bro. Give me three holes. Give me 16, 17, 18, them on carts, and let's play. And whoever has the best score at the end of the three holes, I can see that because you
Uh,
playing, I don't want to see 18 over and over again. These guys were
I think
hitting mid
for
iron. Gary
I
was
think
hitting
for
eight iron.
time, I think for time maybe I could get with the aggregate playoff. I mean, this is one of the longer playoffs that we've ever seen. Thank goodness that they started early enough to have a ton of daylight left.
Right.
Because if you think about it, right, if the hole is playing, let's say, an average of 12 to 15 minutes, that's a
It's
lot of
2 hours.
time. I mean,
Yeah.
they had a whole nother 2 hours that they played past regular time. So I get it, but it's so rare that the aggregate would come into play. And I think again, it also speaks to them not being bold enough to go at a flag, particularly on the par three. That was a
Yeah.
hole where you could get aggressive. I don't think either one of them intentionally. I don't. Neither one of them looked comfortable with a cut, and
Yeah.
so they ended up probably aiming at the flag or slightly left of the flag and ended up drawing it middle of the green. So neither one of them really had a good look at the par three green. So yeah, I think the biggest story though, I think coming out of the DP World Tour end of season is the kind of crossover with the PGA Tour and those guys that are going to have a shot to play on the PGA Tour next year. Two of them
Hmm.
I think are pretty much guaranteed, which we've seen them a lot, which is Tristan Lawrence, South African, and Rasmus Højgaard, whose twin brother, is already over here on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Højgaard had a win not too long ago, probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, on the DP World Tour. So with the fourth this week, he essentially clinched his berth by getting in the top 10 of the DP World Tour. What do you think about the pathway? I'm kind of sad because, they're kind of snipping away at the talent that the DP World Tour has been able to build up. We've been seeing these names now for a couple of years, and now they're going to come over to the PGA Tour. Do you think that's a win? Clearly it's, I think, a win for the PGA Tour because they continue to kind of pad up, their roster. But what do you
Hmm.
think about for the DP World Tour?
Well, I mean, I think if it's a feeder tour, then it's a feeder tour, and I think that that's what they're, essentially creating. So, they're going to have some young talent coming up from the Challenge Tour, their Corn Ferry Tour style, venture. And then I feel like this year has been a good year to see them doing, getting new names out there, like the Hidalgo win in Spain. Like, I
Mhm.
think you'll start seeing names like that, and I think you'll start seeing more variety, even more variety than you already see on the DP World Tour. So I'm not exactly indifferent about it. And I think with the deal that they have going forward, I think the PGA Tour is still going to be, where to go to play. So however you get it, I'd be trying to come over. I think one thing though is a lot of those guys are European based, so it's not like they're just going to completely desert the DP World Tour.
Right.
I think they'll hold multiple cards and still be able to go and play their home country events or the big main things. I'm not saying that's contractually obligated, but they're not going to miss the BMW
It's
PGA
home.
over there and stuff like that. They're
Right.
not gonna miss their like mainstay events over there. So
I
yes, they're
think
gonna
we've
be on the
seen that.
PGA, but they'll be over there.
I think we've seen a tradition of that with the DP World Tour, that they're
Yeah.
usually a league that shows loyalty long term. I think we saw that before we even played golf, right? Sevi would go back and forth.
Yeah.
Maria, Olazabal would always go back
Right.
and forth and play events. So definitely a tradition of that. The Hidalgo kid seems like he's getting the juice after his win in Spain a couple of weeks ago. So he's been up there pressing leaderboards. Thorborn or Olison might come back over. as a full time PGA staffer, which he's got his baggage.
Yeah,
So we'll see what that.
exactly. Hopefully, he
Yeah,
keeps his hands to himself if he comes back over here.
we'll see what that top 10 looks like at the end of the season, as they still have golf left to play, a few more weeks left for those gentlemen. So it'll be interesting just to see some new faces. I was talking to somebody last week in my travels for my 9 to 5 and just asked, they're a golfer, and I was like, hey, I've never asked you, what do you think about all the live stuff? He's like, I hate live, but he's like, I enjoy learning about these new stories, these new names, and the talent is just as big. We were talking about, he brought up the same, without us having any conversation, something that I've been mentioning for a while is that the scores are not changing. That these
Right,
guys are still going low, matching previous year's scoring. So the quality of golf, even though you may not know these folks as household names, the quality of golf has still remained very strong. So shout out to the youngins going and making a reputation for themselves and doing their thing. I think it's a huge win for them.
hmm
So let's swing it back over to the U.S. based side. So the Old Man Tour, PGA Tour champions, we typically don't pay attention to just because I don't know, it's not much. It's not much juice to it. It's not very exciting week in, week out. You kind of see the same names. You see Ernie Els playing decently, but not really winning.
right.
Steve Stricker doing his thing.
Jim
What's the
Furyk,
guys? Furyk is
Stuart
out there.
Sink,
Yeah, when
um,
he's not on the PGA Tour. Who am I thinking about? Anxiety that I was talking about.
Bernhard Langer,
Lean. No, yeah, well, him too. But the Jerry Kelly, anxiety driven guy, leans on every dang shot.
Patrick
Um,
Harrington.
yeah, when he's playing, but him and Sink are good enough to still get reps out on the
Yeah,
PGA Tour, so flow back and forth, even though they're in their 50s. But this week, Tim O'Neill, he's our thumbnail for the week. Guy that's been grinding at it for a long time. I mean, he came up a
yeah,
few years, around the Tiger era, and the name I was familiar with. Just, us being black golfers, he was a face that you were kind of rooting for, especially as we were getting into the game. Clearly,
yeah,
the dude's in shape, has the physical talents to get there, and he's had some moments on the Champions Tour, but never able to put a full weekend together. But this weekend, he's able to take the win, winning the Dominion Energy Open by 2 strokes. Again, just a really talented fella. But something that kind of made me think about our experience this past Monday and how hard it really is to play good golf when you're under pressure. And
yep,
especially in that professional environment when sponsorships are needed, golf is your full time job and you're, having to both, yes, you have your traditional corporate sponsorships, but you also have to kind of seek someone that's willing to invest in your career and financially back you outside of those sponsorships. Because if you're not winning or playing well, those corporations are gonna drop you because you're not on TV. The
yep.
hat's not getting featured on the coverage. So, what'd you think about Tim O'Neill finally getting his win, 50th start on the PGA Tour Champions, and also needed a decent finish this week to continue on their Charles Schwab Cup. So, what'd you think about the man getting the win finally?
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback on what you said, just anybody of color has known the name Tim O'Neill for quite some time. So, early 2000s, next up behind Tiger and stuff like that. So, real liberating to see him finally push through and get him a dub and get him a nice little paycheck. Um, and it's funny because he's still doing a lot of cultural things. I mean, bro is mid 50s, still got cubic zirconia in his ears, flashing the diamond. You know what? Those might be real now at this point. He's old
Yeah,
enough.
yeah,
He's responsible enough. Those might be real diamonds, but those are pretty big. But yeah, jacked. He was always a long hitter. I mean, and even now, one of the part threes I saw him play, it was like a 167 shot. They're talking about, he's hitting an 8, maybe even a 9, pushing it out there. mean, like the dude still got it. He's still jacked.
Yeah.
So that's a real good story, and hopefully he can continue that momentum. I know they got a longer break than the PGA and all the other regular tours, but I think going into 2025, I think that'll set up his momentum, and hopefully he'll get some of these sponsor exemptions and be out there more than he is right now. So, yeah, I mean, I wish we had more to say, but we don't really watch the old men like that anymore. So it's just kind of like,
No. No, every once in a while when he pops up on a leaderboard, I'll pay a little bit more attention. But again, to
right,
be honest, it's so interesting watching, who I know after watching more this weekend, who would have been a killer had they been able to putt and if they had a short game is Retief Goosen. Like that dude,
right,
I'm watching his ball striking pretty damn incredible. But every day I
easy,
watched him come into 18, which was like a shortish par five for them. He would miss the green, just hole high, right or left on I think it was left on Saturday, right on Sunday, and just his chipping. Like he does not use a lot of wedges with loft.
yeah,
He's out there pulling out 8 irons, pitching wedges, getting it on the ground and kind of letting it roll out. And it's a really stabby stroke. Same thing with his putter. He's got this really funky grip where he takes the index finger down the front end of the putter to kind of keep it straight. I was like, dude, if this man had some hands, he could have been an incredible winner on the PGA
yeah.
Tour and also even
And
on the
even
PGA Tour
then,
Champions.
he still managed to somehow get a major out of it. Won like the '03 US Open or something like that. Like,
Right. He very
Bro could have been really good.
he really reminds me of Glover, Lucas Glover, just a ball striking wizard, but
Yeah,
without the short game prowess. So, just something I noticed watching them this weekend. Excuse me. But props to Tim O'Neill, like you mentioned. Hopefully, he's able to get the momentum going, finish the season strong, as they have a couple of more events left this year for their Charles Schwab Championship. They get started a little bit later in January over in Hawaii as well. So we'll see. We'll see if he can carry this through. Another one of the guys that kind of rooting for an old big break guy, Brian Cooper. Um, Made his way to the PGA Tour Champions a couple of years ago, but has really struggled with injuries, the mental health side of things. So I had been rooting for him just because of the big break
yeah,
connection. Also, another golfer of color, but unfortunately hadn't had a good go of it, and hadn't been able to stay up on the tour. So again, our props to the guys who can actually get it done. A couple more stories before we hit our experience from last Monday again. JT Poston in the Shriners Open in Las Vegas had a really chilly start to the week. Guys were out there in the hoodies. The wind was crazy.
some
Cool
delays,
temps.
multiple
Yep.
delayed days.
Yep. Causing them to finish later than expected. Which I also get this with combined with the Utah tournament a couple weeks ago. I'm just seeing so much slow play and the PGA Tour not able to complete tournament rounds in the
Yeah,
day. Like they've been rolling over quite a bit. Utah, they really had no excuse and ended up having to push several rounds into the next day. Some delays with the Shriners, but again, the slow play is getting ridiculous. I saw a section. I think me and you were texting at the time because I was watching, and Tom Kim. I think it was when you were texting me about that scramble going on. But Tom Kim sat over a shot decision into a green par five for about 5 minutes. And I'm like, this is beyond ridiculous. This is where we should definitely start putting people on the clock, finding people. Something has to be done about the slow play. And Tom Kim is a number one offender of that. And the fact that he's going to be at the Shriners every year because he's a defending champion just kind of sucks, especially coming off of his President's Cup. Had really started to kind of turn the corner. And I was like, okay, the talent has always been there. Just him as a product, though, pretty rough to
yeah.
watch. So
it's disgusting. I mean, there's no way around it, bro. It really isn't, man. Like, bro, it's you between two or three clubs. You're not looking through your whole bag, bro. Make a decision. And I think also, like we always, not always talk, but what we talked about in the previous matter, the caddies got to have a bigger say, or the caddies have to have a
yeah,
bigger input or influence on these guys. Cause like, it's like your indecision isn't always going to be the best play for you. And especially when you're not committed over the shot, you're getting ready to address the ball, then all of a sudden you back off. Now the dude's got to bring the bag back in. That he's clanking it in, and then now I don't know, man. Did you did you feel the wind change,
the wind
bro?
switched on us.
Just give it a
It
sec.
was
Just give it a
it, wa-
sec.
it was 10 down before. It's now across helping. What are we doing?
Man, killing me,
Unco-
bro.
Uncover
Mm,
your ears. That's your speaker. Um. So yeah, Tom Kim. Anyway, JT Poston really had control of the tournament from day three. Just had to play a
yeah,
solid Sunday. Ends up winning his third professional tournament. The postman, solid player. He's gonna compete. He's like one of these journeymen that are just gonna stay out on the tour for a long time, sneak up, get a win, get an exemption every couple of years, and keep it
yeah,
rolling. He reminds me very much of like a Kevin Streelman type player. Big
yeah.
talent, able to get the ball around. So some certain weeks he's a buzzsaw, and he's just going to be hard to beat. And this was one of those weeks. A very solid iron player, and just overall, just seems like a really
Sneaky
chill
on.
guy. Yep, yeah, yeah. You don't expect much out of him. He's starting to look like he does have the dad bod going on. Used to be real slight, but he's a new father, and they were saying this was going to be his first professional win as a father. So let's throw up his what's in the bag. We'll go through it pretty quickly. He is a Titleist staffer, so there's not much variation in this bag. So we'll kill it real quick and hit this and keep it moving. So that's
Yes,
JT Poston.
sir.
If you don't know him, plays the Traditions golf shoe as well. Um, I bought a new pair of these bad boys this couple weeks ago. I don't love them. They're a stiff shoe, so not a fan of the Traditions FJ.
Mm.
This is his bag. Again, Titleist staffer, hanging out with some other Titleist staffers. This kid right here, Joe Highsmith, lefty. If he gets his stuff
Yeah, lefty.
together, that man gets birdies like a nobody's business. He can score.
Yeah,
If he ever puts together a tournament and gets a win, I think he could go on an incredible run. Really talented lefty.
yeah.
Don't sleep on Joe Highsmith. You'll see that name again. So in the driver's spot, Titleist GT3 at 9 degrees, rocking the Mitsubishi Diamana BF60 Tour X Flex. The Mitsubishi Diamana making the comeback, man. There's
Yeah.
another shaft that he plays that is also making a comeback. We are getting away from the days where there's only one
Juventus.
shaft dominating. Yeah, the Ventus is starting to have some competition. So what do you think? Because you have the TSR 3, right?
Yeah, I have the
No.
TSR.
Oh, sorry, they had the old picture up. So he has the GT3 in the bag now.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
this was
No, no,
his.
no. As soon as you said it, I was like, no, 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 that's fine. But no, the 60-gram tour stiff is really what's tripping me out. But that's part of the reason why he's sneaky long. You either gonna have something heavy-handed to where you're making sure you're making solid contact, or you're gonna have something a little bit lighter so you can get the club head speed up. And so he has clearly went the 60-gram route, which is a very light shaft for a tour player for
For a
sure.
pro.
I
Yeah.
mean, you really don't see anything less than like 70 unless they're really trying to rip it or they're an older
Yeah.
gentleman or something like that. So yeah, he's really trying to get his clip head speed up. And I'm guessing the conditions of the GT3 have really helped with aerodynamics, because that's one of the big talking points that they've made. If you watch any of the footage that they've put out through the Titleist YouTube and stuff like that.
But
But
I mean, at this point, can we really? Is that more marketing than anything? Do you think? I mean, aerodynamics on the driver in 2024. How much more can we really tweak at this point?
I mean, not much more, but still, aerodynamic speaking, you can do that. And again, like we talked about, moving the weight in the head that way, it's a lot more backloaded to where the front end is moving a lot faster and stuff like that. It's still a few
Yeah.
tinkers and stuff you can do, but you're right. We're hitting the limitations. But again, like I said, you just watch a few videos. They're like 2-minute videos and stuff like that. It really shows you how they put the crown together and stuff like that to stop drag and things like that. So yeah,
Yeah. I think as you mentioned right off the top, shaft is kind of becoming the way to maximize the numbers beyond what the heads are able to achieve. Um, so in the 3-wood Titleist TS2 at 15 degrees, graphite design Tour AD, mentioned again another shaft kind of sneaking up on the Ventus. We're seeing the Tour
hmm
AD. I want to say this is the third or fourth What's in the Bag that we've done where somebody's playing the Tour AD, making the comeback um out here on tour, getting popular. I almost sent it to you, but it was so annoying and badly put together. It was a guy on IG saying, "Oh, this is what your shaft says about you." And he was giving crap to the tour AD, saying, "Oh, if you're an amateur playing this shaft, you're not as good as you think you are." And I was like, I don't think you know much about the tour AD to say that.
yeah, bro,
It was
please
a weird it
relax.
was a weird video. Yeah, I didn't even bother because it was a quick skip after I watched it twice just to make sure I wasn't tripping. But
Yeah,
yeah, what do you think about this setup here?
I like the TS2. The TS2 tells me that he wants to be able to swing freely. He wants to be in the more forgiving game, because the TS3 is like the tighter profile, a little bit harder to pinch that thing out. It's going to give you more high, it's going to give you more ball speed off the face, but it's also less forgiving. The TS2, I'm not saying it lets you spray a lot more, but it gives you a chance to, not necessarily hit it in the middle and still be okay off the tee and stuff like that. So I think he wanted that, and he'll probably follow that with like either his 5-wood or hybrid or something like that as well.
Use correct. So
Ta.
the hybrid at 19 degrees has it setting at 0.75 degrees upright.
Mhm.
Again, carrying through with the graphite design. Yeah, I mean, like I said, looking for a little bit of forgiveness, which is not wrong. I mean, why would you make the game harder than it already is? So
Exactly. That's why I have a hybrid in the bag again. Not trying to struggle hitting a driving iron when I'm not striking the ball as good as I think I should be. So we are going to hit a cheater club, as we used to call it. Remember when we used to call cheater clubs? That used to
right,
be, oh my God, bro.
but it's so
The whole
silly
first
though,
five
right? I
years.
mean,
Right.
but the ego in the golfer that thinks you have to make the game harder or hit something that looks like a butter knife, it's just ridiculous. So
Cooler. Yeah. Stop that.
whatever. Nobody cares as long as you score.
hmm
The Titleist, it seems like he goes back and forth. He does play the U500 in the 4 iron, but this week looks like he
Mm,
had the Titleist T100S in the 4 iron with the Project X 6.5 shaft.
okay.
And then also plays the Titleist T100s 5 through 9. Again, the same Project X 6.5 shaft. I mean, this is
hmm
a really solid game, not game improvement. It's not go there, but you're getting a little bit of help. And, with still a super small profile and an
Yeah.
iron, looks really good down by the ball, but he's not playing blades. He's not,
Right.
a lot of these Titleist staffers you see in the CB or MB or a mix set when they have some of the longer irons are in the T100. He's like, nah, bro, give me that that 9 iron
Yeah.
T100. I'll take all the help I can get.
I want to see a Titleist after with the T150s just through the bag. But nobody needs to. I mean, at this stage, they don't really need to play like stronger lofted clubs like that. But that's what the
No, no,
T100S is. The T100S is probably like a
right.
21-degree 4 iron compared to like a 23 or a 24 or something like that that they usually play. So that's a little bit out of the norm. But I think
I mean,
when you're
I
playing
could see
longer irons
some.
like that,
I could see some of these, short hitters putting the T150 in the bag. Think
T150
about
is
like
just two
somebody.
degrees stronger. It's not. It's like instead of you hitting a 47-degree pitching wedge, you're hitting a 45, which is stuff that you see through 75% of the sets and pitching wedges that are even on the market right now. So it's not even that hard out
Yeah,
of the norm. But when you're hitting a 47-degree pitching wedge, 140, 145 carry, why do I need 2 extra degrees of loft? They're
that's
just
true. That's true. It's
haters.
different. In the wedges, nothing super unique here. Pretty
Yep.
standard tour issue. The Vokey SM10s and the pitching wedge, 46 degrees. The 50, the 56, but bent to 55, which I like. And then again,
The
no surprises
60
here. We've
wedge
been seeing
works.
this again. We've been seeing
Yep.
the wedge works in the 60 like every week. This is
Yeah.
no surprise. And then let me not skip over the shaft here, the True Temper Dynamic Gold S400. Again, I mean, this is pretty stock
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, heavy shafts for the wedges, the wedge setup. We're seeing SM10s, SM9s all the way through, and then the 60 turns into that wedge works with a lot. The it's interesting. I mean, it's a very proven combo at this point. You
Right.
can't really go wrong.
With the shots that they hit now, where they're actually trying to get the ball in the air, I think it is. I mean, out of the bunker, land comes out high, lands soft. Coming into greens, I need a 70-yard, 80-yard shot. Why chop off a 55 when I can hit this 60 and then hit the spin and then I still have the same amount of bounce and stuff like that. So it's still cutting through the turf. So I'm getting clean contact. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I see it. I definitely see
yeah.
it. All
And
the
then we
tight
go
lies and
into
stuff.
the putter, the Scotty Cameron Golo 5. He was playing the black version this week. He also kind of alternates between one that the bottom is just slightly different color, but it's essentially the same putter that he plays regularly. So not
Hmm.
much variation. Likes a little half mallet. I mean, again, we have left the days of the bladed putter. I wonder, everything makes a comeback at some point, right? I
Yeah.
wonder when we're going to start seeing bladed putters coming back, but I think after, Scotty let the reins go on his bladed putter earlier in this season, I think there was like no shame and everybody else. It was just like, let's go do it, right? Why
Yeah.
again? Why make the game hard if it doesn't have to be? If you can get technology on the greens where your money is made, do
Yeah.
that. It doesn't make sense
Exactly.
to make this. Again, the part of the game where you score hard for yourself or really have to manipulate the club and input it. We're going to see more of those lab putters coming out. We've seen the TaylorMade Spider be super popular this year. Um, Scotty's coming out with some different looks that we haven't seen from Scotty in the past.
Yeah.
More forgiving, more help. You mentioned the technology several what's in the bags ago about the visual look of the Scotty putters that they're coming with these days. So a lot of different technology coming into the greens these days.
Yeah. Interesting fact about JT Poston and this particular putter. Switched to this exact Golo 5 in 2019 and has won 3 out of his 4 PGA Tour wins with that exact putter. So think it's something to that.
Yeah,
Little
why take
slant,
it out
little slant neck mallet. Yep.
if it's not broken? Why take it out of the bag?
I'm loving my
And
Scotty.
then playing the Titleist Pro V1X, you always know by the red number. Really good ball.
Yes, sir.
That's all. If I'm playing Pro V's, I've been playing the X a lot more versus the standard Pro V one, and I don't. I used to be a little bit hesitant about that extra layer. Generally, I prefer like a 3 layer ball, but this Pro V one X that they currently have out on the market, really good 4 piece ball. Not super spinny. I mean, it's the right amount of distance off the driver, and then really good with the irons. I love this ball.
Yeah, to me, I mean, like we always say, you want to play a ball that's predicated for your game. Again, this is the rangefinder versus the GPS discussion over and over again. If you're skilled enough to know your game and what your game is modeled to do, then you want to play a ball that's modeled for your game. So for me and you that play through the air, very aerial, spinny, this is the perfect ball for that. And with the driver, it still is going to get some rollout, but it's going to hang in the air. It's going to pierce through it. You're not sitting here worried about your off the face, attack angle and stuff like that, because it's still going to get up in the air with a nice trajectory, and it's still going to cut through there even on a windy day and still give you some extra rollout. And then it'll still
Yeah,
have that unique green side spin. And with the compression now, it's way more likable. It's not clicky anymore. It's so much more of a soft feel, not the Pro V1 soft, but soft enough to where you can
right.
still get some reception. And when it's coming off the face, you can really feel it kind of squeeze in before it comes off the face. So I'm really in love with it
Yeah,
when I'm not playing my Tour BXS.
yeah. I also on pretty mild days, like I don't mind the Titleist AVX ball, which is a slight tier below the Pro V1. But
Yeah,
as we played last Monday, I started off with the AVX in my first round, and it was way too spinny. The AVX was just for the wind conditions. On a mild day, not a problem. But
yeah.
on a day where it's a lot of wind, it just starts to balloon a little bit. I switched over to this one in the second round, and off the driver, much better results. So definitely
Hmm.
makes a difference. And it was cool just to kind of realize that pretty quickly, just with eyes, that I wasn't getting as much carry with the driver as I usually expect or really want out of my game. So, um, one more. No, before we hit the WNBA, we'll talk about our experience. So, um, that's JT Poston's What's in the Bag, y'all. So last Monday we've been talking about it quite a bit. We participated in the player playing ability test through the PGA of America, and it was down in Huntsville, Texas, at the Bearcat Golf Course, which used to be known as Raven's Nest, right off of I-45 as you head down to Houston. I've seen the course quite a bit. Marcus has played it before in the PAT. I went out on Sunday just to get a feel for the course, because you just never know. Looking at GPS, it's hard to get a real feel. I want to say it was honestly one of the most challenging courses I have ever played, and you wouldn't think it would be. But the par fours were really difficult. And I think the thing that I really wasn't anticipating, but wasn't surprised by, given MB's experience with this whole PAT, is the pressure of it all.
Yeah.
Sitting in front of your boys on a tee box, hole number one, not a lot of pressure, but in front of a starter, couple of groups behind you, your playing companions who you've never met before, a nuts experience. And I felt every bit of the nerves on the first tee, and had a shitty result to show for it. But ended up, going back, re-teeing, and got my stuff together really quickly. Just had to get it out. But yeah, it was a lot to it, but I just wanted to get that feel that Marcus had experienced under that pressure. And again, tournament golf, which this is kind of is, you're playing against the course and yourself. but nothing like it. What would you? How would you characterize the week?
Yeah, much better. Much better experience overall. Again, like I texted you, just thankful to have Big Bro down there, and just really put me more at ease more than anything. It would have been the dream to have us play together, get us pair it out and play, first off, second off type deal. I've usually gotten really lucky with my tea time and been, one of the first couple of groups off. Generally, I mean, more so probably because of my namesake. I don't know it being a BA, but you never know how those things go. I think my first one I was like midway through the pack, so kind of having to deal with people in front of me and not get behind as far as the guys behind me are, I guess considered. But yeah, I think I'm not saying I feel at home at Bearcat, but at this point, being third time through on the track, to me off the tee, it presents very well. I think this is probably the best condition that Bearcat has been in. And shout out to Sam Houston and shout out to their PGA management and their PGA agronomy and stuff like that they have going out there. They really did the work, and I guess they've probably had enough complaints at this point to where they really turned it around. The greens were primo. Tee to
They
green was
were.
great. Not too many scabby tee boxes, maybe a little bit overgrown more than anything. I feel like they could have had a
Yeah.
little bit of better cut, but that's neither here nor there. It's an old country style course, plays through some back country highways as well. So that's neither here nor there. It's really about the level of play as we described. And we did enough to really get the qualifying score, which is, just kind of started happening around what I would say 2022, 20 end of 2021, where you don't necessarily need to have both scores on the same day event. You can play one score, and then within that year calendar date, not the year to that, you have to have your other qualifying score, or that one gets knocked off. So, you play on the 14th of October, you need to have another qualifying score before the next October 14th.
Right.
So, I think in that aspect, having one on the board takes a lot more pressure off and frees you up to, not necessarily go for it, but it gives you an opportunity. Hey, I can be a little bit more aggressive. I only need one round. So if my first round doesn't go as planned, I'm not going to mail it in, but I'm going to be tinkering some things. I'm going to be trying some things out. So that second round, I can give it my all. So, all in all, very much more at peace with what happened. I didn't lose myself off the tee box. I didn't lose a bunch of balls. I think at one point, at one stretch of the event, Rod, I probably played the same Bridgestone ball, maybe like 24, 25 holes in a row. So
It's
I
really good.
definitely felt, yeah, and you know how that goes. When you are really playing decent to good golf, you're going to play one, maybe two balls throughout the round. You play one ball, you see a little minor scuff or something, you're going to switch that out. I wasn't even worried about that. It had maybe one or two scuffs on it. I did not see that. My alignment line stayed on and it was fine. So, yeah, I try to tell people if you ever played a money game, you're going to be somewhat okay with it. But the
I
pressure
still think
and
it's
every
different, even
it
if it's
no no no
not.
no. That's what I was getting into. It's still gonna be more pressure than you could ever understand.
Man,
And
maybe a money game where you have $200 on the line and you only got $100 in your pocket.
right,
that's
but like
that may be that kind of pressure, but it was
yeah,
it was a
ball
lot. I
down,
mean, yeah,
actual
exactly.
rules, like not no like even in money games, you still got it understood. Hey, I went OB over here. I can still drop up here. Y'all be all right with that. No, bro, I need to go all the way back to the tee box, re-tee it, playing three, hitting four from the fairway from there. Like that's the type of
Well,
stuff
yeah. Well, that's
that
yeah,
really will
definitely at
kill
this
your round.
course. At this course on number one, correct, right? So you had the
Yeah,
interior OB on the left side on number one. 10, it was on the right hand side. So, on the other, maybe that's the only one where OB was off the tee box, right? Everything else had the red stakes where you could
yeah.
take your distance and stroking distance or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But my playing partner, the first round was definitely off putting, which is a factor that I didn't even consider at all. So, homeboy happens to be in my local area. He's already, somebody that's in at a golf course giving lessons. He puts his first two drives OB, and the spotter slash starter, immediately tells him those are out. Those are probably out.
Yeah,
Um, and they were good quality strikes, but again, I kind of had told him, I'm like, bro, be very cognizant. If you're over the cart path over here on the right hand side, it's gonna get really tight and questionable. And sure enough, he put two OB, had to tee off number five from the tee box. That's a hurting feeling. And so we
yeah.
pulled away, and he was already ready to quit.
With people watching
And
you behind you, the tee box stacking.
that's the crazy part. And so this man literally was throwing balls in the woods. So he ended up finishing the hole with like a 10 or 11, which I think we were being generous. I think at that point he had completely said he wasn't turning the score in. So we're halfway through hole one, and we're already doing damage control. He's acting up so crazily through four holes that our other playing partner quit and went and complained on the dude. Again, I'm playing this man's emotional support animal, like telling him finish the round,
Yeah,
he's
you
going
wildin'.
back and forth. He was like, "Yeah, I don't want you to finish by yourself." I was like, "Do what you got to do, man." Like, what? You want me to drop you off at 9? That's cool. And I think had the other guy not quit, I think he would have opted to finish at 9. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's one factor that I think I wasn't mentally prepared for. And to be honest, going into to the second round in the afternoon, I thought after the way I started with the snowman, I had a respectable first round. I was proud of myself for toughing it out, figuring my game out, because I had some shank issues the days before and through practice leading up to it. So I was proud of myself for not folding and kind of under all the conditions. But by the afternoon, I was exhausted mentally.
yeah,
I didn't have much left in the tank, and I had driver working in both rounds, but just irons. I just had lazy swings, and it wasn't the afternoon that I would have wanted. But definitely, as I was telling Marcus, I wouldn't have trade in the experience for anything. It was a good
yeah.
learning experience, a good beat down. Um, I think I'm gonna give it a run again, which I need to sign up this before the day is out. Um, for another one, and in a course that better suits me. I'm not saying I wouldn't ever try it again at Bearcat, but the wind I think definitely played a factor in making what was already a pretty tough course tougher with that
Yeah,
wind. The wind going out both directions definitely tough and made the first 3 to 4 holes on either side difficult.
agreed.
But
Yeah,
yeah, don't
also, I
fully.
mean,
Go ahead.
tried to tell Rod too. It's a long ass day, and it's mentally freaking draining. I mean, having to lock in on 36 straight holes is insane work, but
Yes, it
you
is.
know, you got to do it. And once you're through with it, then you can say that's a big goal that you accomplished. So, um, I'm definitely excited. I really am. Like I told Rod and mom and all my friends that really care about me about that. Um, it's just another stepping stone. And I have many of story of people that have taken multiple tests and doubled and tripled up my attempts. So again, I am not sitting here, you know, tucking my tail in between my legs and and boo-hooing and stuff like that. I'm holding my head high because I know that there's going to be better days, and I know with the way that my game is trending, I think that my next time is going to be that time that it happens. So I'm very excited and I'm very happy with how it transpired, even though I didn't make it that whole way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think for me, in North Texas, there's quite a few courses on the list, at least looking back throughout this year. Ones that I think fit me well and
Yeah,
that I just generally like and know where to miss, different things like that. And I think that's also important is having a course that you're comfortable with, especially under that when you're given the conditions of the pressure of the moment, having a course that you're comfortable with and know kind of the ins and outs of can be an advantage versus
yeah,
stepping out on one where you're not super familiar and don't have, you know, just your best stuff. That was, I think, the roughest thing for me is I was in my head, and even though I was able to figure it out, coming back playing, around at home this week, I'm like, okay, you know where your iron game should be, and that's the thing that held me down all weekend or that Monday was the irons. I just didn't play. I was a little bit squeamish, a little bit nervous, didn't have my usual confidence. But yeah,
yeah,
there's the short game work that I put in was saving me left and right. Putting and chipping around the greens, I couldn't be more pleased with. And it also kind of also showed me, you put in work in these certain parts of your game, it really can pay off. You focus
yeah,
in for like 3 to 4 weeks, a month, you can really make some big strides. So that's one of the things that like I've been super proud of myself is the short game work that I put in because that's where I was losing a lot of strokes before. But now I need to lock back in on the irons and tighten that up. So fun experience, and I think it was just fun. Hanging out in the hotel the night before, and then getting ready to go and discussing all the stuff that was going to go into it. So definitely a fun week, and the fact that it was just a week ago feels more like 2 3 weeks ago.
at least
How
2 weeks.
it was a long week after that too because I went and got
Facts.
on the road for work and yeah. So anyway, um, but
Yeah, I
yeah, that was
worked
our
7 straight
experience at
days.
yeah, that was our experience at the PAT down there, Houston and Huntsville, Texas, and we'll be doing it again. I'll come back and if I can commit myself to doing it next Monday and share my experience and see if it turns out better. I do expect it to be better overall. But last night, one thing that's super exciting, the WNBA off of our normal golf stuff, but we just love sport. Wrapped up their season. The New York Liberty defeated the Minnesota Lynx in 5 games. It was an exciting game that went down to overtime. WNBA this year has been lit. I mean, it's honestly
Yeah,
record attendance, tons of TV coverage. The Caitlin Clark drama fueled the early part of the season, and I think it got eyes over to the game, and then people realized, okay, this is not the early years of the WNBA. These gals have some game. They're
yeah,
looking a lot more athletic. The world of basketball training has come a long way, which I think goes into that. So they look a lot more skilled, ball
right,
handling. The bigs aren't as stiff as they used to be. Like the days of even though she was a great player, like the Lisa Leslies of the world, just
right.
didn't look very fluid. But yeah, I had like the triple screen of baseball, WNBA, and NFL playing, and honestly, I ended up putting the sound on the WNBA game just because it was a really good back and forth game, back and forth series. What do you think about the NBA, man? Good season. Did you watch a handful of games? What is your
Yeah,
perception of the league as a whole?
yeah. I mean, I was actually sad that Dallas didn't have as good a season as they did last year. They made run. We got one of the top all stars in the game in Agumbawale from Notre Dame. Uh, Apologies if I screwed that up, but
I
I
think
mean she
so, but
definitely is out here getting buckets, and then we got Seitu Sabali. She's really out
yep,
there doing it as well for us. So I'm definitely a fan of women's sports. I mean, again, just because they're not as explosive and as athletic as men are doesn't mean that there isn't teaching moments. Because again, when you're not able to get your own shot athletically, it makes you play a team game. It makes you use uh scheming and your IQ and stuff like that. So I think that's a lot of the stuff we saw as well. Coaching was on the forefront as well. So yeah, overall, I think it's going to be really, really a talented thing coming forward. Sacramento has a team. Oh, I'm sorry, not Sacramento. My apologies. Golden State has a team coming into the league
yep,
as well next season. And again, they finish on October 20th. That's the latest the season has gone ever. So them
yeah.
going
They usually
into the
finish in the summer.
right. So them playing a full boated season, longer than the college season, and then into the playoffs. Now I think we could do something with the playoffs, not necessarily more teams because of the shrunken size of the
Yeah,
teams, but like maybe we have two 5 game series and a 7 game series for the finals still. Because
yeah,
clearly the eyes are now there. I think we can experiment with that. Even if it's just for the 2025 season. And then if it flops and we go back to 3-5-5 or 3-3-5 or what, however it was. But them
and I
going
wonder if
right
they're going to
into
be
the
able to.
beginning of this season is great.
I wonder if they're going to be able to maintain the season structure in terms of how long it went. I know they had the Olympics in the middle of the summer, which probably extended their season out a little bit longer. But I don't know.
Only
To
by
me,
a
this
few
is a
weeks
real.
though.
I know, but this feels like a really good model for them because, as we've been talking about, we're kind of in the best part of the year for sports.
Right. Sports.
Um,
Yeah.
we're a day away from the NBA starting, which is a good kind of just rollover, right?
Yeah.
Especially if we're starting to see this collaboration with the NBA, right? And
Nike.
we're starting to see more just closeness. It's the same way that when we started seeing the LPGA doing some similar things to the PGA in terms of scheduling kind of twin tournaments, warm up tournaments going into majors, things like
Yeah.
that. It's completely transformed, how the game is perceived. Again, that synergy between the two leagues, seeing mixed events, things like that. I mean, I don't think we're
Yeah.
ever going to see a WNBA, NBA mixed event, but maybe all star type stuff, right? Which we have seen that, right?
We've
Am
seen
I
that
crazy?
before. Yeah. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
You're not.
So the more collaboration I think between the men's and women's leagues does nothing but boost the profile of each, right? Because you can do cross promotion, you can run WNBA stuff during the NBA season, feature them. These ladies are becoming stars. You see
Yeah.
your Angel Reese's of the world. They're cute and they're marketable, and they have personalities. The whole WNBA, like seeing them coming through the tunnels with their outfits and different things. It's a huge
Right.
market for stuff like that. So shout out to the ladies for taking the opportunity. And I think their old motto used to be "We got next." So
Yeah.
shout out to
Shout out
them.
to Nike as
Cool.
well. Nike just went ahead on and extended their contract till 2037. That's with NBA, WNBA alike. So uniforms are going to be good, shoes are going to be good, courts are going to be good. Nike is always uh, multiple billion-dollar industry,
Yeah.
worldwide known. And then, just like what we said with the new president coming in for the shoe game, I think it's just going to put a president on what we're going to see going forward as far as fashion and the money. It's going to be all going towards good things.
Yeah, I mean, and they got ladies getting signature shoes, especially from
Yeah,
Nike, right? So we
yeah, the
saw
Sabrinas is
Asia
crazy.
Wilson, Ionescu, which her shoes were actually worn by a bunch of men, which is
Yes, the
freaking
ones and the
awesome.
twos. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
like even if and even before you saw a lot of men in them, the shoe reviews in itself were saying this is a good shoe. This is a shoe for this type of foot, or this shoe is light but still has enough traction and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think Asia Wilson's shoe is going to be great. I mean, I think Asia Wilson's shoe is going to be modeled more like a LeBron, kind of like a slight bulkier shoe, but still gonna
yeah.
be very light, more airy, with a lot of traction for like the stop, the go, the step back and stuff like that. We all know how herky jerky Asia Wilson's game is, but yeah, I mean going forward for sure. Kaylin Clark's gonna get a shoe, or she already has a shoe in the
Well,
works
she
as
wears the
well.
Kobe's, right?
She
She's
wears the
been wearing the
Kobe's.
Kobe's.
Yeah, but she's that's part of her deal. So it might not be before Asia Wilson because of all the uproar. How you got a two-time MVP and a world champion not getting a signature shoe, but you got Caitlin Clark getting a signature shoe already. So there was a big
Well,
pushback. So they pushed her shit up and then put her stuff on the back burner for a little bit. But CC got a shoe coming for sure.
she'll get her time.
Yeah,
But yeah, looking forward to seeing them continue the success and run that they've been on, and yeah, they're in really good hands, and the backing of Nike and the NBA is nothing but love. So shout out
facts.
to those ladies. Yeah, that's it, man. We wrote this thing out.
We did it.
We have ton of golf again next week. It doesn't stop, man.
The Zozo
So
got the big dogs coming back out. We got Colin Morikawa, we got Xander, we got Max, we got all the homies coming out. So y'all be stocked and ready, and we gonna have a good show for y'all next week as well. Come on up.
no doubt, and hell, it looks like the DP World Tour is still going too. So
Yeah.
um,
Oh yeah,
tons of
and
golf
they
this.
still have. And then we're not even into their Dubai swing where they got the lead up and then the championship. So yeah, which Rory's gonna be in by the way as well, because he's still
Yeah.
leading that tour on part
Well,
time.
because it's because of that dang crossover, right? So the majors always he
The
plays
majors
the early
always
season
count.
events, the
Yep.
majors. So he's been killing that thing for I don't know how many years, where he goes into Abu Dhabi
Hey,
leading.
it's crazy because like every time you look at Rory's season, it don't really feel like he play a lot. Then at the end of the season, it's like, damn, he played 30 weeks. Didn't
Right.
he? He played like at least 25 of them things. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
So I mean, there's no doubt why he was feeling it in years past, doing double duty
Yeah.
with as much playing and then the admin stuff he was doing. So yeah, we got a lot of golf left this year for the next couple of months, and quality stuff too. So looking
Yeah.
forward to the Zozo. I'm gonna have to rest up during the day since we're getting all this late night, early morning golf. I'm gonna have to get some naps in so I
Oh,
can
well,
survive
the
this weekend.
Zozo's going to get replayed multiple times, it being the PGA. The LPGA is probably going to get played once or twice, but the Zozo, it's going to get them reruns. So we definitely going to have some
Yeah,
time, Roddy.
no doubt. All right, y'all. Bearder Bros Golf Show. We'll be back at it with another good show next week for y'all. Thanks, y'all, for joining. We very much appreciate it. I'm Rod.
And now, Marcus.
Peace out, y'all.